Yeah, sure. Welcome to the IBHONI podcast. My name is Mpumelelo Mtsinto, and I am the founder of IBHONI. If you don't know what IBHONI is, we are a tourism company that is based in the township, and we've created this platform to basically talk about our years and years of experience when it comes to tourism in the township and also cycling in different townships. And this is what this platform is about. And I will be with my team. I'm never alone. I have a very beautiful team of gentlemen from Soweto. And today on the podcast, we'll be discussing anything from township tourism to township cycling and everything that makes tourism a makasana. And that's what this podcast will be about. Like I said, my name is Mpumelelo Mtsinto, and I am the founder of IBHONI. And I am not alone on this podcast. I'm with the team, beautiful gentlemen, Basekasi. And they're going to introduce themselves, starting obviously with the light-skinned.
You look
good.
Yo, my name is Tinyiko Nkuna, but a lot of people call me TK because it's short for Tinyiko. But I happen to be the sales director at IBHONI. I sometimes make sales and sometimes don't. If I don't, tough. Then there's no business for us.
Man.
Let's hear from you.
Hey guys, my name is Wandi Ndlovu. I'm a qualified mechanic in IBHONI and also a tour guide. So welcome to IBHONI podcast.
I know we are snares, but
Our hype man.
every team needs a help partner. I'm the first aider and assistant of Choka Diala Township, but it's not still riding cycling all the way.
All right. So, like I said, the IBHONI podcast is all about township tourism and just cycling in Soweto. And yeah, today we're going to be discussing quite a lot about township tourism. I'm sure you've seen from Makasako on what tourism has done. With us, tourism has been a very good bloodline, a very good, how can I put it, a platform for us to express ourselves, but also, not only that, but also to make a living. So today we'll discuss the behind the scenes of how we got to where we are, but also to touch base on what other people can do to get to also own a tourism business in the township. But first, I think, gentlemen, we can try and break down what a township is. Because if we're going to be talking about township tourism, the least we can do is at least explain about what is a township.
Yeah.
Because also townships are they have different meanings around the world.
Correct.
But also at the same time, township is more famous as Soweto than anywhere else.
Yeah, I think honestly, right, a lot of people tend to forget that there's townships all around the world, as Mpumi just mentioned.
Yeah.
So I'll just make an example, right? We've got what we call a country, which is South Africa. Then we've got a province, which is obviously Gauteng. I almost said Johannesburg. And then we've got a city, right, which is Johannesburg. And then it boils down to what's under Johannesburg, which is a township, right? Obviously, Soweto being one of the biggest townships in the entire world, and in Gauteng currently, and in South Africa currently. We've also got other townships like Alexandra, but also when we look around the world, we've also got Brazil, where they've got the favelas, right? We look at, I think Netherlands also has one. India has the Delhi, right? So a township is basically, for me, how to break it down is basically, a township is less developed than a city. Right? So remember how Soweto was founded. A lot of people were pushed down from where? From the city, and then they came down to Soweto, and then it created what? A township. Right? So it all boils down to that. You might find that in other cities or in other parts of the world, it was different. But what we know, based on our country and our history, is that people were moved from the city, came down to a township, and then that's how the township came about. I mean, Soweto has how many townships currently? 29?
Yeah.
Debatable, in fact. Every time you go, there's a new stuff like township. So very much debatable.
Protea Glen goes up to Zirbeko, which is just the outskirts of Soweto, guys. Come on.
And so it's growing, every year it's growing because of Soweto. It has a lot of history, a lot of giants that took part during our struggle. And so most of the people, they want to be under Soweto, because of the way we are proud of our township, you know, because of it started as a low class township.
Yeah.
Now it's developed. You know, we have like streets where our grandmothers, they were walking on the gravel, you know. Now it's developed. We have restaurants, you know, we have Hector Peterson Museum, we have Nelson Mandela Museum, you know. So those kind of things, like a township is like a personal thing where you grew up there. It made you a man, made me a man that I am now. I can tell a story from someone from Brazil who comes to Soweto and I know about Soweto and be like, oh, this is Soweto. This is a township where it's like, it's brightness, you know, there's happiness.
There's 2 million people.
You know, so those kind of things, you know.
And to jump in, like you guys are saying, when you're talking about developing, I mean, like you said, there's over 2 million of us.
Correct.
And I think we're playing a huge role when it comes to developing this township, of which I always have this question, obviously, are we still a township? Nah, right? So it's because it seems like we're a country on its own. I mean, like, Konoma country, like more than 2 million population, you understand? And I mean, like, township more day.
Should we say those places?
But should you raised something there.
Yeah, should
country
we
of our own.
Yeah.
We have like different classes in bed. More I shower in bed. We are green storm.
Correct.
So more of language I can understand. So more they it's like a country, like a Gauteng. There's a lot of people. Abakhuluma vele Italian and KZN, Amazulu, Limpopo, Masuti, and Tswanas and whatsoever. You understand? So as an easy I would say like Soweto, it's a township or a country. I mean, like population age, it's always growing.
Yeah,
People are
true.
coming in, like almost every day.
Yeah.
So there can never be an accurate number, but
Exactly.
see 200
Yeah,
million.
2 million. But also, I was reading something yesterday that said Soweto is no longer 29 townships; it's 40. So I'm like, where the heck does 40 come from?
But that's what I'm saying.
Like 47 townships.
I think even online.
They added those Lucas is like Lehigh,
Like
Zileo. Yeah.
Yeah, Zimbabwe. I mean, what's Protect Lane? Let's be honest.
Is it?
Yeah, Protect Lane has like what, 35, 40 townships?
Okay. So would you agree about a township is a, I mean, obviously you don't want to use the dictionary definition, but a township is just a place where it's just less developed than a city. Correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
can
cool.
say that, yeah.
So then, what makes township tourism? How can we describe township tourism? In terms of what we've experienced as IBHONI for the past 7 years, that we've been doing tours in the township of IBHONI. How then do we break down what a township tourism is?
So everyone is a tourist, guys, like including ourselves.
Yeah.
We travel on a daily basis.
Sure.
It's unfortunate that there's no tour guides like us. But
You can't talk, eh?
yeah, because even when you get into a taxi for the first time, hi driver, I'm telling you, you get what I mean?
But also, if you are lost, they will guide you.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
anyways, township.
but okay, like so. Basically, township tourism for me, guys, it's basically having a local that stays there, that offers you an experience to go and see how they live on a daily basis. Perfect example is Culture Shock. There was a show called Culture Shock where they used to take a person of a different race to a person of a different race township. And then they stay there, and then they stay there. Like, they switch up so that they can see. So township tourism, guys, is basically us taking guests. I won't necessarily say guests. Let me say friends, right? Let me say friends. Please allow me to say friends, because afterwards they end up being our friends. But also we have friends that are not from the township, and we also take them around. Right? So they come and they want to have this experience of how we live, how we eat, what we do, things like that. I mean, when you come on a tour with us, what do? You go for a quota. Some people.
Hey, don't expose what we do on the tour so that people can book.
They'll book. But when you come for a tour, you actually experiencing what I have experienced within my township or within the place that I stay in.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, like, when we talk about this experience, like, Yoban shoot, like, we sing a guy. I mean, like, one is from Middle East, from Shawera, one is from. I can say two and to my cousin. Nzumgaya, the different side of my job.
Correct.
Take him to places, the Angaza economy, like one, I tell you, fuck on the polar. Man, I'm chatting in Vikas Lam in Bonisipola, Uzobon, yeah. Like
That's the next level. Angali ngithi Toulouse every day. Mara no.
The likes of Tomoson and
Correct.
Pirates of
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so we're playing also a huge role when it comes to in the way tourism township. You understand? Because I mean, like a lot of tourists come like Gasly and we show them around with Gasly to Linja and we give them the best experience about Gasly Tola. And
Do they fall? Because you said you're a first aid guy, right?
Yeah, but guys, no, and also for me, it's like a township tourism. You know, it's like telling your side of the story that you know from your grandmother, your mother, who were part of the apartheid or experienced the apartheid. You understand? Because of we get different kinds of histories for Abomatale, Stratene, Abo Ankele, Webakchela. I mean, I think like 1976 example. You understand? Then you take that story, you make your own storyline because of day to day you're in Soweto, and they want to know a day to day life, but also including the history that happened in Soweto because of Soweto has a lot of history and a lot of huge things that happened around here where people experienced it, and now it's like it's our time to share the story to the visitors or our friends.
And another thing, not to degrade the knowledge or the information that we're getting from school.
Yeah.
Tina's career like us, and we have our own books in here, like they give us a different side.
True.
So you understand, like the life of American people, when they tell you about that, you can tell you don't you understand. And when you talk about the experience each and everything. So I mean, like it was my figure that now as you can tell a different story like we are trapped because you're not reading it from the book but you also gaining it from someone.
Yeah.
So we're having like a more knowledge.
So my question then would be, in terms of what you're saying, for example, or heads at the history of 76, including Hector Peterson, on the picture, the famous picture of 76, right? You got Antoinette. Right? I think we'll just keep it at Umamu Antoinette for now. We can have a different episode about everything else on that picture, right? Umamu Antoinette, she's a tour guide as well. She tells her side of the story.
Sure.
Right? Do you think, with the system the way that it is, in South Africa, you have to go write an exam to become a qualified tour guide and whatnot? Do you think it would be fair, or say to Umamu Antoinette, or Shalapansi, write an exam to be a qualified tour guide to tell her lived experience of June 16, 1976?
Can I jump into that? Like
Yes.
I said, when most of us, you are a true tour guide because you have more information and more knowledge about this thing.
Yeah.
You understand? Like for me, to be a tour guide, I don't think you really need to go to school because already they've given you enough information, enough knowledge from England. So whoever wanna figure like to your country or Kaslak or from another country or another different food, when you tell a story, because the person that you get knowledge from, like I was there, or maybe I experienced it immediately. So no one can come exactly that year, but they are close to like a cool, you understand? I mean, like I want to because when you try to talk about those things, some of them they even cry because but I can't delusion, and obviously they will open up, and so
True.
you will get more and more true knowledge about this.
So coming back to the system, right? I can't remember if it was Gauteng Tourism or SA Tourism, but they had a
You're
program.
gonna get us in trouble.
This is true. This is a fact. So there was a program.
Tourism Association
No,
of some sort.
All right. Tourism Association, right?
Of some sort.
Of some sort.
Yeah.
That had a program where they took, I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
They took them to school, put them in a class, let them write an exam, and when they came out, they had to do practicals.
Yeah.
Remember the tourist.
No, the students.
The students.
Right? So when they come out and have to do practicals, it's literally bringing guests over or tourists over and them having to basically do a tour. Guess what happened? They couldn't. Reason being is because, let's look at it in this way, right? Umam Antoinette, she was in the forefront. So there's no way that we can say, go and write an exam on your life story, on what you have experienced. Because the lecturer doesn't even know what to ask because Umam Antoinette, she's the one that experienced everything, right?
So let's say I'm Mom Antoinette's son. Should I go and write that exam, or should I tell my mother's story? As that
But we pilot in the exam.
well, it's not there. All right. Okay. Cool. Fair.
Yeah.
But then, I suppose then, in the townships, because there's a huge debate about qualified tour guides and non-qualified tour guides. Is what the non-qualified guy is doing, is it illegal? Where do we draw the line? You know, but I hear what you're saying. You know, essentially, upala exam entry.
Sure.
You know, but then now, should then at least, let's say we'll focus on the non-qualified tour guides, right? Should they be charged based on how they deliver the story? Because you can hear the story from Umama Akoru, Makule, Kaya, whatever. But then how you tell the story, are you doing your mother's story justice? Or you just sound like a recorded tape.
In other
Yeah,
words,
that's a qualified podcast.
so in other words, right?
That's not what I'm asking.
In other words, what you're trying to say.
That's what I'm asking.
But in other words,
That's what
what
I'm
you
getting me.
but in other words, Mkumi is trying to say, right?
No, I'm not trying to say. I'm asking a question.
Okay, so this is what your question is trying to say.
Ask, yeah.
That when unqualified tour guides tell their side of the story, that means they should have the person that told them the story at the side, so that they can say, if you don't believe me, ask this person.
Yeah, because
But I can get you.
because I mean we've seen it.
Yeah.
Like we've been in this game for 7 years, guys. We've won awards.
Yeah.
So I feel like we do have a voice when it comes to this topic. Right?
Correct.
So what I'm saying is, let's say it's just so unfortunate that we're speaking about tragedy, you know, where people actually died and whatnot, right? The storytelling, bro. It's not even selling because the person already booked, so you're there sorted. But the storytelling, how you deliver the story, are you touching the tourist or the guest? Are they understanding? Are you taking them back to 76 of how things
Definitely.
are they seeing it here, guys, in your storytelling? In the
Definitely.
delivery?
Well,
Because
I think as a black child, when you tell that story, you can be more, like, you can be more emotional to it, or, like, I mean, like, no jail on way to, like, you can tell from Ebusweni back, this person was there. And now, as a grandchild or a son to Lomama, like, ladies of team, okay, my mom experienced this, my parents. So, like, whenever I was in jail, obviously, with this emotional, you were there as a black child. I mean, like it's black people have experienced it, I understand. And if you will ask me, like, about isn't this 1976, some of the things I wouldn't know them. Because then told me but I'm exactly the way I was told. But for the fact that emotion, the story, you can say, okay, fine, this person whether I writing you understand?
I think on the next episode, actually, we're going to discuss people from other races being tour guides at Soweto.
Correct,
I think that should be a topic for another day. To get how we feel about that.
Yeah.
Because
It's
I can
also showing
guarantee-
emotion.
Because, bro, I can guarantee you, in different parts of the country, I don't think you are allowed to even be there to tell those people's stories. But yet, Soweto would have people from different races coming in to tell the story of 76.
In the next episode, can we mention names?
No!
Yeah, because of it's like me. I'm from Soweto, then I go to Alexander and I tell the people the story of Alexander. Whereabout I don't like.
You can get away with it, bro, because Utat, Nyam.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, I'm just suggesting, but in the next episode, we should get into the details of people from different races coming into Soweto, telling the story of Sowetans. Essentially, because when you come to Soweto, you're coming to tell a story, history such as Soweto.
Yeah,
Right?
but picture this.
Yeah.
Man, ngizovumela uSenegade ezongitshela ngeKasilam.
Next episode, bro.
I think
Guys, but listen up. I know
Oh,
for instance, okay, you know, also let me say the scripted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like whatever life about
Yeah.
the history of Soweto. I mean, I'm telling the history, I'm telling even about the things and his experiences and all.
Okay, we'll tell the next episode. It's
I think also, guys, we should also focus on just one thing that we happen to have forgotten.
Yeah.
The township tourism has a big economic growth. It's one of the biggest economic growth contributors.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It creates
Yes.
jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
It creates opportunities.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on and on. Typical example, look at where we are today, right? You
Yeah.
started alone, I then joined,
Yeah.
we then continued, later on you joined.
Yeah.
Look at where we are now. We've got a first aid guy, we've got more other guys that help us. Qualified mechanics, right?
Yeah,
So,
first aid.
Yes, my man. Yes.
So the economic growth that it has, right?
Yeah.
In
And
a
it
township
contributes.
alone,
Yeah.
and also in the economy.
Yeah.
Looking at the state of our country and our economy with an unemployment rate sitting at what? With the unemployment rate sitting at what? 33 point something percent?
Yeah.
So,
And it's
Yeah.
growing, hey?
Yeah, so then with the unemployment rate, how do we get other people from different townships to do township tourism? Because, like we said at the start of the podcast, each one of us is a tour guide, essentially.
correct.
Right? How do we then inspire people from other different townships? I don't want to name townships, but from different townships. How do we inspire them to tell their story? I mean, Tina, our tourism is based
Historical.
around the apartheid era
Correct.
and whatnot. Even though it's changing, I mean,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
right? And apartheid didn't happen only at Soweto. There's different townships. But why is Soweto, specifically Orlando, seems to be thriving in terms of township tourism more than other townships, including townships in Soweto? Let's forget about going out, including other townships from Soweto.
So I think it's by educating people about the different sectors of tourism. There isn't only historical tourism.
Yeah.
There is food tourism. There is some other one which I won't mention. But the list goes. There's sports tourism. Right.
Yeah, what he was talking about.
What he was talking about.
Yeah.
So it's introducing people to those kind of tourism sectors.
sure.
I mean, there is a list of different tourism sectors.
Yeah.
If I was to go to a Shawela, example, I was to go to a Shawela, I would introduce cultural tourism. Where,
Political tourism.
nah, man. Yeah. Cultural
President is from
I know, but he comes from one of the richest cultures ever, which
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
Venda culture.
Yeah.
The colors are beautiful. Some culture, colors as well are beautiful. So I would introduce what? Cultural tourism, where I take you to Sodlama Sonja, example, and then you go and dance in Ishbelan or something.
Yeah.
So those are the type of tourism sectors that should be introduced to other people so that they are woke about the tourism sector. It's not
Yeah,
only
but-
about
but
bicycles and
You know what it's like.
Any-
But someone from the question Boom was asking, someone from another township, he or she doesn't know where to start. Like for example, why we're doing this podcast for people to come
Yeah.
if they want to learn how
Yeah.
to be a tour guide.
Yeah.
We teach them. Then if he or she want to continue with us,
Yeah.
continue. If or she want to start his or her own,
Yeah.
then he or she knows that this is where I start. There's platforms where they can book, or I can create my own website.
Yeah.
But because everyone is a tour guide, but they don't know how and when to start
But
or
you think
where
people
to.
have that much information to No, which way do you start?
This is why this
This is
platform
why.
exists. So just to wrap it up, all right, just to wrap it up, I think township tourism is very broad, and township tourism is more than Vilaga's streets.
Correct.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
we
Love
love,
Soweto even.
yeah, but I mean, for me, I'd rather we focus as Soweto for now, because I mean we have, like we said, over a couple of number of different townships.
Sure.
So just to conclude, there is a lot to unpack when it comes to township tourism.
Correct.
From being guides, but I feel like we also need to go back to, before even getting to there, how do you set up a township tourism business? Whether you use bicycles or not, and how do you set it up, you know?
How?
And I mean, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to start with, I'm a bicycle 10 million, like the company is with keep on, but, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start somewhere,
Yeah, start somewhere.
Start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think,
There's a start.
I think that's where we'll leave it for today. And then on the next episodes, then we can then dive a little bit deeper and behind the scenes on how do you get to be where most people are.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Because of tourism plays a lot of like roles. You understand?
Yeah.
Change a lot of people's life. You know, you can like have a nice living under tourism by telling the story of your own that you created from the history that you got around Soweto.
So township tourism is storytelling, essentially.
Yeah.
Storytelling.
All right, sure. That's where we leave it. That was the first episode of Book IBHONI podcast. And yeah, on the next episode, we'll be discussing a little bit more, probably get into more trouble, but yeah, a lot, like I said. We've been doing this for some time, and I think we
Trouble is
have
my second
something
name.
worth telling or sharing with our fellow South Africans in different townships, because I think we have enough big companies, we have enough safari people, but the township, that's where it's at. Because even the safari people, they come with their buses to our township. So I feel like we have a little bit more to say when it comes to our township. We're Soweto born, Epara, Vayosberg.
Oh yeah, bo. Like, share. Oh
Subscribe,
yeah, bo. Subscribe.
subscribe.
To people need. Thank God.